Oh my goodness. Oh, hello everyone. Happy Friday. Okay, so we've had a few technical issues with my mic. My phone was connecting to my Bluetooth mirror, which meant that it doesn't have a microphone. So I'm so sorry to everyone who's joined for the third time. Hi, Shiraz from Adelaide. I'm so sorry about that. As I said, I've been off Instagram for a couple of weeks with my dad being really sick. So I've got back on and it's totally a foreign element for me. So let's get back Kate from Be Fit Foods so that we can actually chat about today's really exciting, guys. It's all about a challenge that we're going to start. We're going to do a weight loss challenge, health challenge, just making sure all of our body's working and our body's on track. Don't tell me we've got sound, Kate. This is amazing.
We've got sound. We're in. Hi.
How are you?
Very good. Happy Friday again.
Happy Friday for the third time. I'm saying hello to everyone on Instagram, and before you came on and explaining to people why I haven't been on Instagram for the last couple of weeks, and I didn't realize that they couldn't hear me because nobody said that there was no sound. You were the only one. You said there was no sound. And then everybody started telling me there was no sound. So I was actually talking for like 5 minutes with no sound. Anyway.
Oh, it happens. Tech. Oh, well.
So let's get straight into it because we've got a lot to talk about today. Now, we are talking about a challenge that you guys are doing at Be Fit Foods. A lot of people are jumping on board, including myself. And obviously, for some people, it'll be a goal of losing weight. For some people, it'll be a goal of just getting on track, getting healthy, getting strong, getting, everything in order. So I wanted to talk to you about the challenge because, as I said, I'm going to be doing it and we're testing my DNA to see what sort of foods I should and shouldn't have, which is really exciting. But first of all, I want to ask you just quickly a question about challenges. And we touched on this very briefly last fortnight when you talked about losing a lot of weight in a short period of time. Just quickly, what does a challenge benefit? So if we are doing just a 2-week or a 4-week challenge, how does that benefit the weight loss process or helping us to get on track for future health and vitality and losing weight?
So I think the big thing with doing a challenge is it gives you an opportunity to start fresh. And we talk about resetting metabolism. So 70% of the population are overweight or obese, and it's actually not our fault. We live in a sedentary environment. We're locked down because of COVID. We're surrounded by temptation foods that definitely cause weight gain. And so all of these things really contribute to those, what we call an obesogenic environment. And our bodies, unfortunately, actually thrive in an environment of weight gain. So we're programmed to store calories. We are not programmed to burn off calories. And that's how historically, I guess, it's allowed us to survive because we're very good at storing calories. But once we've stored too much, it actually damages our body. So our fat storage hormone insulin goes up, and then fat goes on our abdominal region, and then we get this inflammation that affects our heart, our blood pressure, cholesterol, all of these sorts of things, fatty liver. And then we get the brain fogginess, and then it affects our mood as well. So when that happens, I guess it actually plays with our brain and our dopamine and our pleasure centers, and we start to feel that we need food to be happy. And the more we eat, the more that we feel that we need this sugar, and we become addicted to it. So when people try and cut this out, if they're only committed to a meal at a time, it can be very difficult. So our suggestion is to try and do 14 days. And the reason for 14 days is the first 2 to 4 days are really hard. So you have to get past that to make it easy. And if you only challenge yourself for a week, you actually have 4 days of pain and 3 days of pleasure, when it would be nicer to have 10 days of pleasure, enjoy that extra energy, and actually feel really good and enjoy being on a challenge.
And I think that 2 weeks for me, when you look at a 2-week, instead of 4, 6, 8 weeks, you look at 2 weeks and it's quite doable to start off with, because it's only 14 days, and having a calendar, whatever gets you through the 14 days, it is a short time, right?
It is. And it's about having things that you enjoy eating so that you still enjoy food, but it doesn't become your focus of every day and it doesn't become your only pleasure, because we're trying to cut back some of the carbohydrates and certainly cut back all the sugar, all the processed food, and readjust that dopamine balance in the brain. So we start to actually get happiness from other things. We get happiness, or this spike of happiness in our brains, from sunshine, from sexual relationships, from exercise, and the other place is sugar. So we need to take away the sugar, find the other pleasures, and just socializing, even online like this is enough to make people feel like we're together, we're collaborative, and we're doing something
If I can get my internet to work. Let's talk about resetting our metabolism, because this is so important. I hear people all the time, I've got a slow metabolism, I've got a fast metabolism. So if we're resetting our metabolism, are we able to change that? Like, you know, because a lot of people do think I've just got a slow metabolism. So can we reset it and change it?
Absolutely. So by a slow metabolism, there are so many things that I guess contribute to this, but one of the big things is actually developing fatty liver. So if anyone's actually had an LFT test or liver function test, they'll give you all these numbers for your GGT, AST, ALT, and if some of these numbers are off track, it might indicate that you've got a bit of fat on the liver. Now, this all makes sense. If we gain fat on our bodies everywhere, then our organs gain fat as well. And as the liver becomes fatty, it can't do its functions, you know, to clear out things in the body and process things the way it should. So doing a 2-week reset helps shrink the liver. And as that happens, then everything else in the body can work better. And more importantly than that is to start to get our blood sugar levels down. And that will help us reduce our fat storage hormone, insulin. And if we can reduce that fat storage hormone, at the end of that 2 weeks, you'll find no matter what you do, you're less likely to gain weight. So it's about actually getting back to a healthy metabolic rate, or a healthy metabolic position, let's say, so that you don't have too much of this fat storage hormone or this big fatty liver. Let's get you back to a healthy metabolism. And then anything you do will be much easier after that.
Yeah, and it's funny because in talking to some of your staff, obviously we email the little logo that we have to promote this coming up, and all your team was so excited. They've done the 2-week challenge, and even a couple of the people that are actually fitness, they're right into their fitness, they're right into their nutrition, still lost quite a few kilos. One girl lost 6 kilos. I mean, this really excites me that if you do want to get a little bit of a motivated to keep going and to change and get that healthy lifestyle, now's the time to do it, especially before Christmas. So if anyone is watching out there that wants to come and do the challenge with us, stick around. We're only going to do a short video today so that we can get everything in there and you guys haven't, you can get back to cooking dinner or having your wine or whatever. Let's just start right from the get-go, Kate, because the most important thing is doing a pantry clean out, right? Because if we've still got stuff in the pantry and you're on a 2-week challenge, it's like you get a bit of bad news. For me today, we've had, you know, one thing, as I said, my dad's in hospital, final stages of cancer, which is terrible for the whole family. But you get a bit of bad news and you just think, oh, it doesn't matter. You know what? I'm just going to have this, or I'm just going to have an extra glass of wine, or you know, there's so many different things, from grief to happiness to sadness to, you know, excitement. We're triggered by things. If we've got food in the pantry, that's going to be our weakness. So what are your tips there?
First thing is always start with the ambient stuff, because that's where you've got the hidden blocks of chocolate, packs of Tim Tams, even the chips, the savouries. I know that in our cupboard, we don't keep a lot of the bad stuff, but if I'm going to binge on something, it's going to be something like those flavoured rice cakes or corn cakes. So know what your weakness is and get rid of it. Give it to a friend, or hide it, look it up, whatever you need to do, but get it out of your reach. And we all have different weaknesses. I know that if people bought vanilla slices and custard tarts to my house, I would eat them, but fortunately they're not there. But everyone has something that they hide in their pantry, so get it out so you don't have that temptation. Then go.
Why do we hide it? Like, we know we're going to eat it. It's such a funny psyche, isn't it, that we actually hide it, but we still know that it's there. So cheerio out there to all the people that hide their biscuits and their chocolates and their cake, and they know they're there and they just go and pick it and cheat and say, you know, because we all do it, right? You always go back to it.
Yeah, and never forget about the freezer as well. I mean, everyone's got their favorite ice cream. So the best thing about a challenge is it starts when you're ready to start. So
Yeah.
really the best day of the week to start is always a Monday, no matter what. People are most motivated. They can get the weekend out the way. They can finish the drinking, finish the tub of ice cream, finish their last takeaway meal, and then start fresh. So Sunday night, bag it all up and get rid of it and get rid of the temptations. You're far more likely to be successful.
Speaking of Sunday night, usually that's where people are doing their meal prep. Come 2 weeks' time, New South Wales is coming out of lockdown, so there will be people going back to work. We can't have the safety of our fridge, so we've got to take meals to work. We've got to be more prepared getting home. So what are your recommendations as far as meal prep is concerned?
It's pretty simple with meal prep. I'd always say if you're thinking about main meals, you know you've got your main components, but the big thing for me is trying to get 80% plant-based foods on your plate or in your food
Mhm.
box or your lunch box. So whether you're actually doing, so I've done like a little healthy platter here. Take your raw chopped up veggies, so there's carrot, capsicum,
Yeah.
cucumber, and I've made a little dip, and this dip is just a really basic ricotta, spinach, and pine nut dip. And so I've made everything in my Ninja over here. That dip would have taken me 2 minutes to blitz up. I literally put in the ricotta, the yogurt, some salt and pepper. I put in
Mhm.
some spinach that I just drained overnight, the frozen one. But if
Yeah.
you've got fresh spinach, throw it in there as well. Yeah, blitz it all up and make yourself something that you're going to enjoy eating, but at the same time, it's actually beneficial for you as well. So I toasted
Just
some
quickly
pine.
on that, what sort of quantity are we talking? Because, you make a dip, you've made it healthy. So obviously it's better for us than going for some of the alternatives that are really high in fat or have a lot of sugar in them. But if we're sitting down to a glass of wine with, say, some rice cakes with the healthy dip, a healthier alternative, how much can we have?
The big thing I would say is it's what you make it of. So if you make it with, like I use Chobani yogurt, which is super high protein, super low calorie. I put ricotta in to give it some flavor, some texture, make it a bit
Yeah.
creamier, the spring onion. And the big thing for me is that, like, this yogurt is so low in calories. So as long as your dip has low calorie, high protein ingredients, and then because it's basically 50% spinach in there as well, you really can have a pretty big serve. Usually I'd say stick to 2 tablespoons, but the recipe that I'm
Yeah.
going to put up today, you really can probably have more closer to, at least a third of a cup or something. So a pretty decent size serve. And I've actually
And
got here.
then obviously though, carrot sticks, celery, are the alternatives to your bickies, right?
Yeah, so if you've got all of the veggies, the raw veggies, eat as much as you like. We sort of suggest try and have at least 2 cups at every meal because it's going to fill you up.
Mhm.
It's good for the gut microbiome. It gives you something to chew on, and it'll actually take you a long time to finish off that whole platter. And it's not going to add to the waistline or that fat storage hormone.
Nice.
Actually, it's going to reduce it. I bought these today because they're only 70 calories a serve, and more impressively, they're only 3 grams of carbs. They're actually like a mini wrap, and I toasted some up. Never leave me with an oven. That's why I own an air fryer,
Oh, wow.
because I don't
So you just
overcook
put
them.
them in the dip.
Yep, just put them in the dip. And because they're small, they're low carb, they're portion served. So if you've got one of these and then you've got your little platter of your raw veggies and then your dip, so
Yeah.
this would make 4 portions. But I mean, this is a big serve. So you've got at least, 2 or 3 tablespoons there. That is
Mhm.
one person's almost, that would only be just over about 130 calories, 150 calories max. And that is something
How
you
good is
could
that?
sit down and really enjoy. And it is super simple. The next one over here, I've made a dessert. This is one of my
See,
favorites.
this is what I love about your challenge is that, you know, people think, okay, I can't have the dip and bickies, I can't have the dessert, but you're actually incorporating healthy alternatives, which are all on the website to replace so you're not actually having to change the way you eat. You're just putting different options to replace
That's
that. Yeah.
it. And why I'm here, I'm going to show you. I love this new product. It's called Etch Sparkling, and so instead of having the glass of wine with your little platter, it's a replacement for alcohol. They don't call it an alcohol replacement, but it's actually all natural botanicals, no sugar. And when you use this plum one, you put it in a glass, it actually looks like a rosé, and this one looks like a Sauv Blanc. So
Oh, wow.
I just find that something that's got no calories, and you sit down to it and you put it in a wine glass and you can actually enjoy it. So I think that's a really good alternative. And then on a weekend, you feel like you're not missing out, because we work hard during the week. And if you want to relax on the weekend, that's how you can do it and keep it under 150 calories.
Because the second you feel like you're missing out on something is the second that you're going to give in, isn't it?
Exactly. And that's why I'm a bit of the sweet tooth after dinner. And this is one of my favorites. Mind you, I've made 4 of these, so I've got plenty in the fridge when we finish. It is so simple. It's a zesty lime cheesecake. And this cheesecake has got just a bit of this is just our gluten-free protein granola on top of it, so just a tablespoon. But all the base is, I've used the same ingredients as I did in the dip. So I've got some ricotta and some chobani. I put a tiny bit, so I couldn't actually buy any fresh limes today. So I found this, which is quite amazing. It's 100% fresh lime juice. There's nothing added to it. No preservatives. Yeah, I really like this product. So
where was that in the supermarket? Like, what aisle were you? Was it in the cold aisle?
I shop online.
Oh, Coles online.
I never really go into the supermarket these days. I just find it so quick and easy because I can do it the night
Totally.
before. But yeah, so I can't tell you where it would have been, if it was ambient or if it was chilled. It says refrigerate after opening, which means it probably
so then that means it must be warm. So it might be in where all the, it might be in where the tinned pineapple is and the tinned peaches and all of the tinned fruit, because obviously it's a lime juice, yeah?
Yeah, and what I love about this, why I was making this, I put a little bit in water and it was so nice too. So even if you've got a plain sparkling water and you could put a bit of lime juice in, it was really good.
Yeah, nice.
So I just literally put a tiny bit of gelatin in with the lime juice. I was put in the microwave for 10 seconds to get it warm, the gelatin. And then I've set enough to make 4 serves. So I put it in the Ninja machine, blitzed it up, and that is so delicious. It tastes like a normal cheesecake. You actually would not know it's any different. I've added a little bit of stevia for flavour, but you can use monk fruit or stevia. It adds no calories, so that's that one there.
Oh, yum. My mouth is literal. I'm not a dessert eater, but when I saw that recipe, because I actually went onto the website and I actually printed that. I actually printed that out. I'm telling you. I just saw it and I just went, oh, that's amazing.
And it's one you can do when you're out of lockdown. If we're allowed to have guests at our house, you can make that as a dessert. Nobody will know, and it's no guilt. Yeah. It's just high protein, low carb, no added sugar.
Yeah. And like you said before, if you're not having to change a huge amount, if you're able to substitute with something that still tastes relatively good, you're still having the dessert, because people have their dinner. And I know my grandmother and my grandfather used to instantly have a cup of tea or a coffee and then have their dessert. It's that routine of having dessert, right? So if you've got that option,
absolutely,
you can still have it.
This is a little sweet treat that you can actually have during the day or after dinner. I've got so many versions of protein balls, but this one is a dark chocolate espresso. So really simple. Again,
Sorry. My son's yelling out. My son's yelling out to my dog, and my door flew open, so I can hear him going, "Cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo." Keep going. Sorry.
No, we're back. So yeah, I use a Ninja or anything similar that's a really high-powered thing, because these machines, which I've learned, I bought a cheap one once. I blew it up within 2 uses because the dates do not like to go in the ones that don't have a heavy-duty motor. But the recipe's on the website, super simple. All I've put in these particular ones is just the dates, a bit of almond meal, a little bit of coconut. You can use a dash of espresso coffee, but I actually like green coffee because it's got really high antioxidant benefits. And I wish I could get it in espresso, but I haven't seen that yet. So I actually just get the Nescafe Gold Green Blend for those antioxidants. Yeah. The antioxidants are higher in the green blend than what they are in a cup of tea, which is nice. Tiny bit of coconut oil and cacao powder and a little bit of protein powder. You can use a vegan one, a whey protein. And if you want some extra crunch and some extra antioxidants, you can put some organic cacao nibs in there too. So
And see, that's pretty easy. While you're making the other stuff, you can just chuck that in the blender and away you go, wrap it up in the balls and you're off to go, right?
Yes, and the other day when I was busy, because I only wanted to make a small amount, so what I did with the rest of it is I just rolled it into one big ball, wrapped it in Glad wrap and stuck it in the freezer. So then when I want to get it out, it defrosts within 5 minutes or so, and then I can
Mm,
roll it into balls and serve it out. So rather than thinking, if you've got all the ingredients out, make 5 batches of them, make them into a
yeah.
big ball, roll them up, put them in the freezer. Then next time, all you need to do is get your coconut out and roll them in coconut. It's really easy
And
that
away
way.
you go. So we've covered some of the healthy snack options. I really need to cover it because it is Friday afternoon and people do find a challenge. They've got to give up the old alcohol. How does alcohol affect our metabolism? And if we are trying to lose weight, I mean, I found the Pure, the winery, do an amazing red wine that's got no sugar,
Oh.
no carbs, and it's only 50 calories per glass, which they say, but it's still got the alcohol component in it. And so what does alcohol do to our metabolism?
Firstly, I love the sound of that wine. I'll have to check it out. But secondly, when you're on a challenge, alcohol's a big no-no. Rest of life, small amounts of alcohol, you've actually got the benefits of the red wine, so that's fine. But on
Yeah.
a challenge, what it does is, because your alcohol is actually a poison and it's a macronutrient. So macronutrients are things we get energy from. So carbohydrates, protein, and fat. And
Hmm.
so your carbohydrates have about 4 calories per gram, protein has about 4 calories per gram, fat has 9 calories per gram, and alcohol is its own macronutrient with 7 calories per gram, which is nearly double the calories of both your protein or your carbohydrate. But what's worse about alcohol than any of the other macronutrients is the body perceives it as a poison. So it pauses burning anything else that you put in your body, any other food, anything you eat before you drink, whilst you're drinking, and after you drink, until your blood sugar levels drop to 0.00 again. It will stop burning things off and store them as body fat. And that's our body's protective mechanism to get rid of the alcohol first, so that we don't end up overdosing on alcohol or poisoned or having alcohol levels our entire lives, because it never gets to clear
Right.
out. So it's a
So
clever
not only
mechanism.
does the so it's a vicious circle, isn't it? Because you have the alcohol, obviously, because it's nice to have, but then that makes you sort of crave fatty foods. It does tend to evoke that feeling of I need a pizza, I need a burger, I need some fries, I need some food. And then because you've got the toxin in your body with the alcohol, it's then turning that into fat and not burning any fat. So it's like a double whammy, yeah?
Absolutely. And then you've got I guess, the after effects of the alcohol is it actually, you'll go to sleep quicker, but you won't get your proper REM sleep and you won't stay asleep. And the danger of that is when you lose sleep, you actually increase appetite too. So you're going to wake up hungrier. And if you
Um,
are dehydrated and you're trying to sleep because you've had too much alcohol, then you're going to also mistake your thirst as hunger. So you've got this, catapulting effect of all of
yeah.
these things that work against you when there's alcohol in your bloodstream. And like I said, small amounts of alcohol actually are beneficial, particularly red wine. But when you're doing a
Hmm.
challenge, it is a big no-no, because the goal is to reset metabolism and shrink the liver.
Mm.
And if the liver's busy processing alcohol, it can't process the fat, the carbs, or the protein.
Now, we've got one more question, and I know we wanted to keep it really quick today because obviously we repeat these and for people watching them. Now, we've just had, what about the new non-alcoholic spirits? That's a good one, actually. There's two
Yeah.
questions that this person has asked. First and foremost, non-alcoholic beverages, other than the sugar that might be in them, but if they're low in sugar, are they an okay substitute?
Yeah, what I'd suggest is firstly check that sugar's not an ingredient whatsoever in these products, because if it
Okay.
is, it's going to be just as evil. It's going to trigger that dopamine cycle, and then that triggers that pleasure, happiness, creates the cravings from the sugar, and will
Hmm.
drive you to actually go and eat the carbs that you probably were trying to avoid on a challenge, or the wrong sorts of carbs
Right.
that way. And it really is, when you're having the spirit, what are you putting it with? Now, if you're putting it with a naturally diet sort of sweetened tonic or a plain soda water, that's okay.
Hmm.
But if you start to use artificially sweetened beverages to go with the non-alcoholic
It's the cycle.
replacement, It does. What happens is our bodies don't perceive it, as sugar, but our gut tastes it as sweet, which is really weird to think that our gut actually has taste receptors. And when it gets stimulated by the sweet, it can
Oh, my
actually
gut
still
has lots of
create
taste receptors.
well, it can create that same cycle, and that
Yeah.
cycle then leads into the blood sugar level cycle. It can lead into what they call leptin resistance, which is a fat burning or not feeling full, and all these fat cells sort of precipitating or causing more fat cell cycles. So let's face it, we really don't know what these artificial sweeteners are half the time. So I think if you don't know what it is, probably don't put it in your body. But on the other hand, if you need it to get you through, it doesn't have the calories. Just be aware that it may be tricking your brain and it may make it more difficult to stick to.
Yeah, so important. And just quickly before we move on to the final question, which obviously relates to exercise, another customer talked about, and we've talked a lot about this over every segment we've done, is variety. So variety of vegetables, variety of foods to cook. So there's some great recipes, obviously, on BeFit Foods, and you guys can help with that, right? You've got lots of opportunity to check that out on the website.
Absolutely. So my rule with variety is to try and get 30 different foods a week. And at BeFit Food, every meal that we make, we put 4 to 12 different vegetables in it. So even in a day, it's pretty easy to hit your 30 different foods. So I think as long as you are eating foods with lots of different ingredients, you're going to hit those 30 different foods a week. And that will make sure that you get the right balance of your vitamins and minerals. And even if you're cutting back your calories, just fill your plate with lots of colourful vegetables and low starch sort of options with your salads and some of the low starch fruits that, like your berries and things that aren't particularly high in calories or sugar too.
So for that person who's watching, if you want variety, please make sure you get onto the website, things like cheesecake, things like dessert dips, things that you want to be able to know how to replace. Please check it out. Finally, exercise, because a lot of people, have a bit of a allergic reaction to exercise. They don't want to incorporate that. Is it something we have to do in the 2-week challenge?
Absolutely not. So there isn't actually a study in the world that shows that exercise on its own gives you weight loss. It needs to be combined with diet, but there are plenty of studies that show that diet alone will give you weight loss. So the way that I think about it is, for the 2-week challenge, do the best to just get the food right. And then for mental health, if you want to go for a walk, do some stretches, do Pilates, yoga, whatever it is that makes you feel happy and makes your brain unleash those sort of endorphins that make you feel good about yourself, do that. But don't think that adding extra exercise is going to increase the weight loss, because it generally doesn't. It's more about resetting those habits, getting the body working, and then exercise should be something you do for pleasure that makes you feel good and reinforces those good behaviors. But don't make it a negative, punishing experience, because you actually can't burn off a bad diet. So, for example, 1 quarter pounder or 1 Big Mac, if we're talking around 400 calories, could take someone 16 kilometers to walk off.
Gosh, it's hardly worth it, isn't it? Put the burger down. Save yourself 16 kilometers. Now, just quickly, we've got the challenge. We're starting off, kicking off Monday.
Yes, kicking off Monday.
Kicking off Monday, I'm going to be doing the challenge. So if you are watching, I really love you to go onto the BeFit Foods website. Again, I just need to mention, whilst we're getting into the whole challenge, this is not a paid sponsorship. I'm not an ambassador or anything of BeFit Foods. This is just my interest, my passion. I love listening to Kate. We've decided to do these every 2 weeks so that I can learn a little bit more. I'm turning 50 next year, learn a little bit more about my health and well-being, and share that with all of my viewers. And I get so many DMs for people that have made vital changes. So it's really exciting. So before I get into that, Kate, there's options. So 1, we can go down and have a look on the website at different recipe options and so forth. 2, we can sign up to be part of the challenge, which then allows us to be part of that community. If we don't want to do the meal prep and we're feeling a little bit lazy, like it's all just getting a little bit too much, we can order, because you guys do the food. So if we're on this challenge, what will happen if we decide to say, you know what, hands up, I'm going to do 2 weeks with BeFit Food. I'm just going to order all the food that will last me for 2 weeks. What happens when we go onto the website, we sign up to the challenge? How does that then work? How will it define what foods?
So the The best thing to do is decide whether you want to do 1 or 2 weeks. For a lot of people, committing to 2 weeks seems like too much. So if you're just looking for 1 week, do the Be Rapid 7-day program. And if a few days into it, you feel like you're going well, order your second week then. But for people that want to do that big dive, we've got our Metabolism Reset, which is the 2-week program, and then the actual challenge, which has got a bigger support community. You can speak to our dietitians on any of our programs, so they can guide you as to which is the best program for you, and I guess just support you along the way with tips and tricks. And maybe you've got some medical conditions or different dietary requirements, so I'll talk you through all of that. But we've got podcasts, we've got blogs, got recipes, articles, we send EDMs or emails that give you all the information. And you can join our Be Fit Foodies Facebook community. There's 6,000 members in there that show you before and afters, what they've done on their challenges, how it works for them, and most important, what to do after the challenge and maintenance. So that should definitely be our next topic.
Yeah, which we will reevaluate in 2 weeks' time. I've made a vow to myself. I'm going to stick to it, and I'm going to be really amazing over as come Monday, and I'm going to do some before and after shots. So
wow, good on you. We'll have a fantastic weekend then before you start your challenge Monday.
I'm about to pour myself a wine. So thank you again. Thanks so much for covering all on the challenge. For those of you that want to do it, please head to the website. They've got great specials on at the moment for the challenge. Lots of information, dietitians. I mean, this is why I love having you on, Kate, because your passion isn't just about all business. You are very passionate about making sure that the world is a healthier place and that we're all on the right track. So thank you so much for joining us. And we're going to be back in 2 weeks' time with some amazing results as far as the challenge is concerned, yeah?
Absolutely. And I'll talk everyone through what to do post-challenge, how to keep the weight off or how to continue weight loss and what that should look like and what you should be eating then.
I'm so excited. Now, to everyone who has questions, keep them coming and I will forward them through and we'll try to answer them over the course. I'm going to be putting up some more information and we will repost this live. So if you want to watch it back, if you've just tuned in and you've gone, I've missed the chat, go back and watch it. It'll be on my Instagram. It'll be on the Instagram of Be Fit Foods. So thank you so much to everyone who has watched this live. We've tried to keep it a bit shorter because we can tend to chat, Kate, right?
Absolutely. Yes, and enjoy your public holiday Monday. I forgot about that.
I know, right? Oh my gosh, I'm starting a challenge on a public holiday.
We actually do our challenges starting the first Monday of every month, no matter what the day is, because I think people need to know in advance. I'm starting on the first Monday of the month, and we've just found that's the feedback that we've been given. It's set in stone. And you know what? Everything else can wait.
Yeah, and we're going to see some great results. Thank you so much for joining me on the live. Thanks to everyone who's watching. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.
Bye.